Should I be hiring a CFO or a fractional CFO in my business? I'm Dr. Alex Engar, your Profit Doc, and today we're going to look at how to know when you should be hiring a CFO and really what you need to know about your business before you make a decision. Let's dive in. So we're going to be covering first, what does a CFO do for you? What should you expect them to do and what should you not expect them to do? Next, we're going to look at how to know if you are ready to hire a CFO or a fractional CFO in your business. And finally, I'm going to help you save tens of thousands of dollars before you make a CFO hire by knowing a couple of key things. All right, first let's talk about what is a fractional CFO. Well, a fractional CFO or a CFO in general is someone who comes in with specific financial training to be able to help analyze and make decisions in your business based on the financials. Here's the thing though, most people aren't ready to hire a CFO, or they need to do some work themselves as an owner before they're really ready. So let's talk about this. Let's imagine that a CFO were to come in right now. You think, you know what, this is gonna be so helpful. They're just gonna do everything for me. But you get in and they start looking at the books with you and they're talking about things and they're saying, well, these ratios look like this and these numbers look like this and this looks like this. What do you wanna do? And you're like, I have no clue. I think that most business owners are too quick to think that they can delegate financial decision-making to someone else, which is often why they're asking this question versus leveling up their own skill set to be able to understand their financial documents first themselves and then eventually have someone else take it over. But here's the thing. If you were to hire someone to do your marketing and you knew nothing about marketing and then you hired them and they were doing a terrible job, how would you know? How would you know that the ads that they're putting out are terrible? How would you know that the ROI you're getting out is crap? You wouldn't. And so you would put yourself in a very perilous situation by knowing absolutely nothing and just feeling like I can completely delegate it. And it's actually the same way with your finances. So we're going to look at today, instead, how can I become the fractional CFO of my business, or at least prepare myself so that I can hand things off? What do I need to have in place? What do I need to understand? And what will it look like so I can be prepared for that step next? So when are you ready to hire a fractional CFO? I'll just tell you, many business owners up to the $1 million mark absolutely can't afford a fractional CFO. Up to that point, usually you'll need a bookkeeper, you'll need an accountant, and those are the first things that you should be hiring, but they are not the same as a fractional CFO. Instead, usually once a business is somewhere between $3 and $10 million a year, that's when it might start making sense to look at hiring a fractional CFO. But certainly at that point, you need to really start getting a handle on your numbers before you pull the trigger on that hire. So let's look at the expense of hiring a fractional CFO. Well, it can be thousands of dollars a month. And you should expect that, depending on what they're going to be doing for you, a full-time CFO could range from, on the low side, $80,000 to up to $125K or more a year. Very experienced CFOs can be much more than that, which is again why you need to make sure that you are financially prepared for it and that you have a handle on the numbers before you just go delegating everything out to someone who's very expensive that you might not be able to afford just yet. The bigger question though is, what is your knowledge level about your finances? Because you're probably asking this right now as you're looking at the business feeling like, I just don't really have a great handle on the finances. Can I just delegate that? And I told you that you need to have a bookkeeper and a CPA, someone on the tax side of things for you very first. But oftentimes we see people trying to delegate everything to those individuals and taking no responsibility themselves. So we're going to level up your financial aptitude right now as we look at what CFO level things can you take on up here so that you make sure that what's in your bank account is what you actually want. So let's talk through the 5 big things that you need to have a handle on right now before you hire a CFO. And it's the things that they would help you get a handle on if you did hire them, but they'd kind of expect you to be up to speed. Their job is not to come in and teach you the finances necessarily and how financials work in a business. Instead, these are the 5 things that you can start getting a handle on now that will save you tens of thousands of dollars as you prepare to get a CFO in your business. The first one is how to read your profit and loss statement. This is a pretty basic one that a lot of owners feel like they understand, right? Revenue minus cost of goods minus expenses equals net profit. But here's the thing. You need to learn how to analyze your profit and loss statement every single month. So if you have a bookkeeper, you're probably getting a report from them each month, but are you actually looking at it? Are you digesting it? Are you looking at what got more expensive? Which categories are higher than they usually are? Where am I making, money leak out the business each month? You want to be able to look at your P&L, understand what it's saying at a fairly deep level, and be able to make decisions off of that before you go outsourcing that to a CFO. Because at the end of the day, you are the one responsible for the financials in your business, and you're the one who knows the entire business well enough to be able to make those decisions. So number one, understand your P&L. Number two, you need to learn how to read your balance sheet, which, by the way, if you like these videos and you want more stuff like this, you should hit subscribe, because we have some amazing videos around balance sheets and understanding your financials in the first place, and you want to be able to get all of those in your inbox. But with this balance sheet, you want to be able to look at it and say, are my assets correct? Are my liabilities correct? Does the equity section look correct? And if you don't know how to read a balance sheet, you don't know how to read a P&L, it is going to be very hard to make the right financial decisions. So get some education on that here on the CEO Finance Academy channel so that you feel comfortable reading and making decisions from those financial documents. Number three is cash flow and understanding how much money is coming into the business versus how much is truly leaving the business. Your profit and loss statement lies to you. We have an entire video on that you should check out. But if you don't understand your cash flow, it's going to be very hard to make accurate decisions as you're growing the business. And your financial documents don't tell the whole story when it comes to cash flow. Number four, you need to understand how business taxes work. And this is really important, even if, and especially if, you have someone giving you tax advice. So if you have a CPA who's filing your taxes for you, you might just assume that they're taking everything off your plate and doing what's in your best interests. I find over and over again that for small business owners like you and me, an accountant just doesn't have the time or bandwidth to be able to sit down with you and really dive into your tax situation at the level that we would want them to. And so instead, we often just default to saying, yeah, I'll meet with you once a year, I'll have you file my taxes, and I'll hope that you're saving me all the money that I could be. But in reality, you need to learn the basics of business taxes. We have entire workshops on this. We've got videos on the channel. We dive really deep into taxes because as an owner, you have to understand what you're actually getting taxed on. And finally, the fifth thing is you need to learn how to make the right business decisions based on those four other inputs that we just talked about. If you know how to read a P&L and a balance sheet and you understand taxes and cash flow, but then you don't know how to take that information and say, well, who and when should I be hiring next? Or how much should I keep in the business for reserves? Or how much can I make sure to pay myself? Then you're not going to be getting very far in your business. So instead of thinking, I just want to outsource this, why don't you instead go level up your skill set, save yourself tens of thousands of dollars right now before hiring a CFO, and make sure that you understand your business at the level that they would help you understand it at before hiring them. If you're hearing this and thinking, you're talking about my profit and loss statement, you're talking about my balance sheet, I don't know that those are really that accurate, or I don't really even know how to read them, then your next step is to click below and download our Better Books checklist. We have an entire checklist that we went through with our clients and said, okay, what are the things that we're finding as mistakes most commonly in their books? And how can we make a quick checklist to go through and a workshop that's about 20 minutes long guiding you through how to read your P&L and your balance sheet at a much deeper level to make sure that those are accurate. Download that worksheet below along with the workshop, and you will be so much further ahead in your financial IQ. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you in the next one.